Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digimon gameplay video. So I'm going to be piloting a UlForceVeedramon deck and my friend is going to be piloting a Gallantmon deck. So starting with game 1. Alright, so my opponent is going to go first. He flips over a Digitama into Gigimon, then Digivolves it into Monodramon, draws a card for Digivolving. Then Digivolves again into Dark Tyrannomon, putting me at 1 and starting my turn. So I draw, flip over Digitama, it's Demi-Vmon, Digivolve it into Vmon, draw a card. And then I play Mat, putting my opponent at 3 and passing the turn over to him. So he starts off by drawing a card, moving Dark Tyrannomon out of Raising, and then Digivolving it into Metal Greymon, drawing a card for Digivolving. And then he's going to play Gravity Crush to gain +2 memory. And then he's going to use that 2 memory to play Agumon to look at the top 5 cards of his deck for a Tamer card and add 1 to his hand. He hits a tie, and then the rest go to the bottom. And then he passes the turn, putting me at 3 thanks to Gravity Crush, so I don't get Matt's ability off. So I move Vmon out of the raising area. I play Rena, looking for a V. I hit Vmon. Then the rest go to the bottom. Then I Digivolve into Grizzlymon and passing the turn over to my opponent. He starts off by drawing a card, flips over a Digitama into a Gigimon, then Digivolves into Dark Tyrannomon on top of the Agumon, swings my security, hits a Vmon so he wins. Then he's going to play a Taichi and pass the turn over to me. So I flip into a Demi-Vmon, Digivolve it into a Vmon, draw a card, Digivolve into Zudomon, draw a card, and then Digivolve into UlForceVeedramon, drawing another card, passing the turn over to my opponent. He starts off by drawing, Digivolves his Gigimon into a Monodramon, draws a card for Digivolving, swings at my security with his Dark Tyrannomon, hits a Taichi V-Tamer, then swings again with Metal Greymon, and then he plays Terraforce to get rid of my Ulforce and passes the turn over to me. So I draw, I move Vmon out of Raising and Digivolve him into Gorillamon. Next I play Elecmon for 2, rest my Mat to get rid of his Gigimon from the Digivolution stack, and then Digivolve it into Veedramon 0, rest Taichi to draw a card, then play Gabumon, drawing a card, passing the turn over to my opponent. My opponent starts, draws for his turn, moves Monodramon out of the security, Digivolves it into Volcanodramon. There was a misplay. My Gabumon should not have been destroyed, but Volcanodramon's still going to swing for lots of damage, and Dark Tyrannomon is going to take the game. Alright, my opponent is going first going into game 2, so he flips over his Gigimon, Digivolves it into Gyomon, then Digivolves it again into Quadramon. Starting my turn, I flip over my Demi-Vmon, Digivolve it into Vmon, Digivolve it into Gorillamon, and then Digivolve it again into Zudomon, passing the turn over to my opponent. He starts by drawing, Digivolves it into Metal Greymon, and then passes the turn over to me, electing not to move it out of Raising. So at the start of my turn, I move Zudomon out of Raising, play Rena to look for a V card off the top, I end up whiffing, the rest go to the bottom, and then passes the turn over to my opponent. I know I shouldn't have moved Rena to the trash, so I'll fix that in a little bit. But my opponent starts his turn by drawing, moves Metal Greymon out of the Raising, then plays Taichi and passes the turn over to me. So I draw, I flip over a Digitama and Digivolve it into Vmon. Then I play Elecmon and Digivolve it into UlForceVeedramon. And I'm passing the turn over to my opponent. So he flips over a Digitama, Digivolves it into Monodramon, uses Gallantmon to get rid of my rookie on field, and then he swings at my security with Gallantmon, drops the security, and then does the security check, hits Arena, and then Rena checks the top 3. I end up whiffing again, so they all go to the bottom. Then he's going to Digivolve into Dark Tyrannomon and pass turn. So I move Veemon out of Raising, attack his Gallantmon with UlForceVeedramon, resting Rena to stand him back up, doing the whole chain of events, tracking how big he is with the dice. Then I'll swing at Security, doing it again. Flip over, I win the Security check. Then attack his Security once more with Ulforce. I win again. Digivolve it into Gorillamon to draw a card. And then I'm going to play Matt, setting my opponent at 3, and pass the turn over to him. He starts by drawing, moves his Dark Tyrannomon out of Raising, then Digivolves it into Skullgreymon, draws a card, swings at my Security with Skullgreymon, flips over a Gabumon, so he wins. And then he is going to Terraforce yet again my UlForceVeedramon. And then passes the turn over to me. I Digivolve my Digitama into a Gabumon, then I Digivolve into ArrowVeedramon, then Digivolve ArrowVeedramon into another Ulforce, and then start the ginormous chain of attacks yet again. And then play a Veemon to rest my Mat to stand him back up, and then have Ulforce swing for game. Alright, I start off game 3 by flipping over a Demi Veemon and Digivolving it into a Gabumon, then Digivolving Gabumon into Gorillamon, passing the turn over to my opponent. He draws for his turn, flips over a Digimon, Digivolves it into Monodramon, draws a card for Digivolving, and Digivolves into Dark Tyrannomon, and then Digivolves it again into Metal Tyrannomon, passing the turn over to me. I move Gorillamon out of Raising, and then I set a Mat and pass the turn over to my opponent. He draws, moves Metal Tyrannomon out of Raising, swings at my Security, it's a Grizzlymon, he wins. Then he Digivolves Metal Tyrannomon into Volcanodramon, passing the turn over to me. I draw, flip over my Digitama, Digivolve it into Gabumon, swing at my opponent's Security. It's a Terraforce, so the main effect happens, destroying my Gorillamon. So I just evolve Gabumon into Gorillamon again, and then I Digivolve Gorillamon into ArrowVeedramon and pass the turn over to my opponent. He starts off by drawing, flipping over his Digitama, Digivolves it into an Agumon to draw a card, attacks my Security with Security Attack +1 with Volcanodramon, ends up winning both of those, Digivolves it into Greymon, draws a card, and passes the turn over to me. I move Arrow out of my Raising area, Digivolve into UlForceVeedramon to draw a card, swing into his Volcanodramon with my ArrowForceVeedramon, plays Hammer to gain a memory, then play Taichi V-Tamer to put my opponent at 1 and pass the turn over to them. He draws, moves Greymon out of Raising, plays Terraforce to get rid of my UlForceVeedramon, and passes the turn over to me. I flip over a Digitama, Digivolve it into Veemon, Digivolve it into Veedramon 0, and then play an Electmon, resting Matt to use its skill to get rid of the bottom Digivolution source off of my opponent's Greymon, then Digivolve it into a Grizzlymon, and then play another Electmon, putting my opponent at 1, passing the turn. My opponent draws, flips over their Digitama, Digivolves it into a Guilmon, then he plays a Skullgreymon, destroying my Grizzlymon, passing the turn over to me. I start my turn by resting my Taichi V-Tamer to draw a card, Digivolve into Zudomon, then Digivolve into UlForceVeedramon. UlForceVeedramon is going to attack my opponent's Security, using the skill of Veedramon 0 to return 3 cards to the bottom of my deck to draw a card, gain a memory from Zudomon's skill, and then Security check happens. Use Vulcan's Hammer to gain another memory, Then play Gallantmon to get rid of a Digivolution source and stand up my Ulforce, so my Ulforce can attack again. Using Veedramon skill to gain another memory. Digivolve into Veedramon, and then Digivolve into Arrow Veedramon to stand my Ulforce back up and pass the turn over to my opponent. He draws, moves Gallantmon out of raising, Digivolves into Gallantmon. Gallantmon attacks, dropping a security, then dealing the damage, and then Gallantmon attacks for lethal. Now, me putting you at 3, knowing you probably had a Gallantmon, and the fact that you still had a Skullgreymon was an issue.
Yes, but you still had UlForceVeedramon, so it's like you were trying to push.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have I had ways to not put you at 3 so you couldn't attack with Gallantmon, was the whole point. Like, if I didn't put you at 3 to attack with Gallantmon, I was still in a safe position. Because I could have literally just played Gallantmon to put you at, 1 or 2. Instead of 3 with Arrow. So that's literally what I should have done, and then I would have had game next turn. So I threw the game because I put you at 3. As always, feel free to tell me any misplays or plays down in the comments below, or any of your thoughts in general. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.